I'm sure you heard about this, but Violent J was on the Willie D show.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about Kid Rock.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about Kid Rock?
I feel like we talked about Kid Rock before.
Have we?
I don't know.
I feel like we talked about Vanilla Ice, and talking about Vanilla Ice is a lot like talking about Kid Rock.
I don't know. Kid Rock is blatantly like he just screams racist.
Yeah. Well, and we're gonna get to it here in a little bit. I don't know if we have the video, but there's a very funny story about Kid Rock. But I'm using this other story about Willie D and Violent J to segue into the Kid Rock thing. But so did you see the clip of him talking about Kid Rock, or you saw the other clips? Because he talked about
I,
a lot in that interview.
I mean, I think I saw that one. Well,
Okay, well, we'll still watch it for the sake of a instant reaction. But for those that don't know, Violent J of ICP and ICP themselves, they knew Kid Rock. At least
they worked with
they
Kid
worked
Rock.
with Kid Rock. But he was more popular than them at the time, correct? It was like them getting a bigger feature.
Yeah, he was a superstar. So they were trying to get they got Esham on the album, and they wanted because he was big in Detroit, and they wanted Kid Rock because he was like.
So, but they wanted Kid Rock, was it them asking for Kid Rock, or was it just was it someone else telling them they should get Kid Rock?
I believe that was just they were like, who are the two biggest artists in Detroit right now? There was Esham and Kid Rock.
Okay.
The way Violent J has told the story was like they did a feature with Esham, and then when they talked to Kid Rock, his first question was how much they paid Esham, and then he based his price off of that.
Okay. But he was like a weird dick about it? Or was that him being a weird dick?
I mean,
or was he not a weird dick?
Wasn't really specified that way.
I think he should have just done it for free. Exposure. He didn't know who his music would be exposed to.
Yeah, but when you're a big artist, you usually don't do features with up and coming artists for free.
Who's the one that ended up with a cult following? You know. Although I'm sure I think Kid Rock is worth a lot more than they are.
Yeah, Kid Rock is.
So I think pandering to conservatives probably helped him out. I bet he tours with Vanilla Ice. I bet they tour together.
I don't know.
I feel like they would be playing for the same demographic, and they do the same type of music, except unfortunately, Kid Rock's music is better. I don't like to say that.
I don't know enough about Vanilla Ice's music. I've heard Ice Ice Baby.
Well,
Go Ninja Go.
I know All Summer Long it may not be like a good song in my opinion, but it's like beloved by America. So I don't know if Ice Ice Baby is as beloved or if it's considered more like a joke. And that's probably been
a little bit of both, depending on the generation you're talking to, I think.
Like just incredibly old boomers jam out to it.
Yeah, boomers loved that shit, man. That's why it was so big.
Unfortunately. But yeah. So all that. And so here's Violent J talking about them working together with Willie D. I'm going to hand you this tab and you full screen it.
My mouse. What the fuck?
Oh, do I got to get that set up? I guess I got to get that set up real quick. I forgot to. Who's Willie D? Willie D is Bradley. Explain who Willie D is. He's an old school rapper.
He's from the Ghetto Boys.
Okay.
Fucking old school 80s gangster rap. considered to be one of the originators of horrorcore. They would just rap about crazy shit a lot of the time, and it was not common back then. So they're not really as well known now. You don't really hear about them, but they're respected among people who know old school hip hop.
Come on. Where'd the mouse go? Okay. So Willie D is a ghetto boy.
He is certainly a ghetto boy for sure.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah, this fucking just bugged out on me. I have no idea what to do here. Oh, okay. This is why this isn't working. Yeah, but I didn't know Willie D was in Ghetto Boys. I've just heard his name separately. But I've never listened to Ghetto Boys either. I'm sure since it's old school hip hop, they probably said.
So before he became this rebel flag waving, fuck everybody but the pure white nation.
Jay, this is Kid Rock. First of all, straight up the energy, he's one of those dudes we would never hang with. Me and Shaggy, you know what I mean? He's just one of those dudes that irks you. You know, our energies are different. You know what I'm saying? But we would go over there because he came out before us. He was signed to fucking Jive. You know what I mean? Do you know about that?
Yeah, I thought it was Def Jam, but
he was signed to
Oh
Jive.
my god.
And fucking he had Too Short producing his record. He was on tour with Ice Cube and them. Too Short, doing some tour. That was a big deal to us, you know what I mean? So when we came up, we paid to get Esham on a song, you know what I mean? And Kid Rock was and our producer, Mikey Clark, who's just a super hot producer from Detroit, you know, at the time was also working with Kid Rock. And so we told Mike, ask Kid Rock how much to get on our track. And Kid Rock was like, what Esham want? And we were like, 500. And Kid Rock was like, all right, I'll do it for 6. You know? So anyway, so we did the song, you know what I mean? He ended up getting too drunk into session, you know what I mean? And to finish it. And we were like, that's bullshit because we don't drink into sessions. We take this shit serious, you know what I mean? Anyway, to his respect, he came back the next day and finished it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so after that, the only time we see him is when we're meeting to discuss maybe doing a big show together or something. You know what I mean? And I'm out there sitting in his apartment, right? And he has a black girlfriend, right? And they have a baby. And me and Joey are sitting there, and he's telling us, because he's the veteran, you know what I'm saying? We're just coming out. He's doing all this shit with Jive, you know what I mean? And this is after just after all that, you know? And he's like, don't trust anybody black in this business.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you this right now. And his woman with the baby is just sitting there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing. And that I'll never forget. You know what I'm saying? Me and Joy are just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And he's saying all that. And we're just like, uh-huh. And I never heard him say anything direct racist other than that, you know. in front of us, but we didn't really hang with him. We would just see him when we would try to do something, a show or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, he was never one of our guys. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, according to Violent J, they didn't even like him in the first place, and he was just openly racist around them.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been their story. They've told that story for years. That was the one time they ever hung out with him, and it was very off-putting for obvious
I
reasons.
see that, the tray and stuff. But Kid Rock was also in the news again for being racist on top of this. I think that's why Willie D was asking him in the first place.
Oh, I
But-
didn't hear about this.
Yeah, Kid Rock was in an interview with Rolling Stone or someone, where he said the N-word a whole bunch of times. Let's see. How Kid Rock turned into a Republican mouthpiece. Well, Trump's MAGA. Or how Kid Rock went from America's favorite hard partying rock star to a MAGA mouthpiece. When you visit Bob Ritchie at his home in the jagged hills outside Nashville, the guy will likely greet you as a nice guy who goes by Uncle Tom, because of course he does. But a part of Ritchie makes his living as Kid Rock, but a big part of being Kid Rock is doing things that are provocative, offensive, and at least to him funny. So he has a butler named Uncle Tom. So Tom procures a can of Miller Lite for him. That's his real name, by the way, Ritchie says with a sharp laugh. Don't give him some shit in the article. Ritchie is wearing dark sunglasses, a black shirt, jeans, and boots that says, may or may not be stink skins. Let's get to the quotes. Last year, he responded to the transgender social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney being on a Bud Light promotion by shooting cans, and then he wants to shut down Planet Fitness. Where's he gonna? Let's get to the good part. Okay. Producer and engineer, this is Juggalo related, Mikey Clark, who has a long history with Ritchie going back to the late 1980s, compared it to losing a family member, and said he no longer hung up Kid Rock Platinum Records because of what it represents now. Kenny Olson, who played lead guitar for Ritchie more than a decade starting in the mid-1990s, was just perplexed. I don't understand where a lot of this came from. I always felt music should inspire people, not divide people. So if Violent J is telling the truth, then are these people lying? Like, because how would they not know he's racist for a long time? Or when they hung out with him, was it like recent? It was in the 90s when they hung out with him, right?
You know, it was like 1991.
So how would Mikey Clark not know he was racist before all summer long?
That's an interesting question. Maybe he picks and chooses who he shows that side to. Maybe he thought ICP seemed white trash enough to get down with that kind of
he
shit.
just pegged him as racist.
Like, yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
It's pretty funny.
Who knows? Or maybe they, some people just thought it was jokes, and ICP were the only ones that were just like, "Yo, what the fuck?" That could be
Yeah,
it too. Like some
maybe.
people just didn't take it seriously.
Maybe I could see that. But yeah, in an age where many people have blah blah blah. I want to get to the quotes. I don't care about all the other stuff. Boo boo boo. Do do do. Although Ritchie often describes his upbringing as middle class, it was beyond what most people would describe would ascribe to the term. His father, Bill, who died in February, owned a large, successful Lincoln Mercury dealership in the northern suburb of Sterling Heights, and for a time was president of the Detroit Automobile Dealers Association, an influential trade group. His family lived in an expansive 5,628 square foot estate built on more than 5 acres that included apple orchards, an in-ground pool, tennis courts, and a horse barn. Yeah, that's rich. That's not middle class. That's rich.
Man.
Tennis courts. That is upper class. Fucking tennis courts on your property. Could you imagine having tennis courts on your property?
No. I don't think I would want a tennis court on my property, honestly. I'd rather have like a basketball court so I could shoot hoops. That'd be more fun in my opinion.
Just miles and miles and miles of tennis courts as far as the eye can see.
Might as well just make it a golf court or a golf field.
No,
A golf. What the fuck do you call it? What is it called?
it's a golf field.
Golf field. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking all this courts
It's
got me all
definitely-
fucked up with
I
my
don't know.
terminology.
I don't know what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's called a golf court.
Golf. No.
No, it's called holes. The golf holes.
I mean, there are holes.
Yeah, that's what I said. There are holes. Okay, back to the article. Ugh. He had a guest house bigger than my family home, said West Chill Gandy, a local rapper who met Ritchie when he was only 14. At the time, I'm tired of saying Ritchie. Kid Rock was just a skinny kid who knew how to operate some basic recording equipments. Gandy would come to Kid Rock's house to record nearly every weekend, and occasionally Kid Rock would visit Gandy's home on the west side of Detroit. You don't see white kids in my neighborhood, says Gandy. It was me that brought him into the city and introduced him to Detroit culture. Bob is like a sponge. He absorbed a lot. Kid Rock began DJing. His dad loved music, but he wanted rock and country music. And then he was had his dealership and was a Republican. Okay. See, this author did like a whole piece, but I just want to see the part where he starts saying slurs. Kid Rock gravitated towards his audience, said Doc Roon C. Pouncey, another Beast Crew member. If his audience was predominantly white, which they were, he was going to play to them. He recalls a conversation with Kid Rock around this time about his change in artistic direction. He straight up told me, I need to get in touch with my whiteness, says Harmon. Gandy remembers Ritchie using the same phrase. Gandy remembers Kid Rock using the same phrase. That sounds like something I would say, Kid Rock says. I don't give a fuck how people take it. Boo, 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 boo. He says, I'm part of the problem. I'm one of the polarizing people, no question. Sometimes I bitch about other people. Then I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh yeah, why don't you shut the fuck up too? So is this mostly an impulse control problem? It's a rich guy issue, he says. No fucks get left. I'm not going to get it right every time, but I know my heart's right. I want the best for this country. Back in the early 2010s, radical centrism, blah, blah, blah. Nobody said a word. No one. That was the thing until all this woke. That was the thing until all this woke shit started happening. Some black members of his band gave him a pass. Misty Love says the flag didn't mean anything when he used it. It was just part of a backdrop. Kid Rock insists there's no deeper intent than that. I was using the Confederate flag because I love Leonard Skinner, and I think it looks cool. The Republicans bring safe. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay, so this was the tenor of the next hour or so. We start talking about American history, and he rightfully brings up slavery and the genocide of Native Americans as stains on that history. I ask him if he worries that in the modern day he might be on the wrong side of history. No, it was Republicans that freed the fucking slaves. Yes, but the Republicans were the progressive party back then. I know where you're going with this, and I'll tell you why I don't. Because Trick Trick, the hardest N-word in Detroit, was like, dog, you had that shit right. We need Trump. I'll call him right fucking now. He dials his phone. But Christian Mathis, the pioneering underground Detroit rapper who goes by Trick Trick, doesn't pick up. Kid Rock turns back at me. I'm telling you, these dogs are calling me like, yo, N-word, you had that one right. Mathis didn't respond to subsequent messages asking for confirmation of his support for Trump. It's worth mentioning these are not the only times Ritchie drops the N-word during my visit. It would be easy to label this as the rantings of a drunk racist, but with everything that Ritchie does, it's hard to know how calculated it all is. Is he just trying to get a reaction? Is he begging to be pilloried when the story comes out so he can launch a very public tirade against cancel culture? Is this all a play for more attention? Would any of that make this less shitty? I don't know. But yeah. What do you feel about that, Bradley?
I mean, doesn't sound like a very cool dude. I don't know how else I'm supposed to feel about it.